Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the long-awaited return of the Laser Livestreams this week. I'm sorry we've been gone for so long. We appreciate your kind emails and messages asking us if we're okay. We are okay. We are doing good. Want to welcome you guys back once again to another Trotec Friday. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you are also welcome. Thank you so much for watching. Glad you could join us. Today we're going to be talking about some Galvo lasers. We're going to be talking about some speed markers in particular, and maybe using them for some promo items. But first and foremost, I want to introduce you to the two gentlemen here with me. First and foremost is James, right below me.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
How are you?
Great to be back. I don't think I've seen a camera lens in a little while.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we've missed 2 or 3 weeks in a row, I think, of streaming. We've had some stuff going on. We've been working on some cool new projects. We hosted a couple open houses. We had our first trade shows of this year. If you missed us at our trade shows, hopefully we will catch you at the next one, but they were a lot of fun. Without bearing the lead, though, we are also joined by, for the first time, I think, on camera properly, is Tim.
Yeah.
How are you, man?
I'm good. It's nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, you guys. Tim's gonna be taking over a lot of Miguel's duty. We've upgraded. We've gotten ourselves a newer, better, stronger, faster version. Tim's been working with us now for just about 3 months, I feel like.
Yeah, just getting there.
Sweet. You're out of our Mississauga office. If you guys want to stop by and I don't know, I mean, usually people want to stop by and have a demo with Mike, but the secret is to show up when Mike's not there, so you can get an applications person demo, because they'll do a far better demo for you.
Don't tell him that.
Mike tends to do, he's got these same Maple Leaf logos. I think I've seen him cut out 8,600 times.
Oh, come on. Mike's a superstar.
Of course he is, yeah. I like to get at him when he's not on the stream, because when he is on the stream, he gets me so good. I can't even begin to tell you. Thank you, Lev. Lev's also in the background, keeping us on topic. So as I was saying, today we're going to be working on a little bit of promo items with Galvo lasers, talking a little bit about our speed markers, because they are a little bit underrepresented sometimes, I think. The speed markers are incredibly cool, and just about any time we get to talk about them on stream, I will tell anyone who will listen that they are my favorite laser that we offer. The speedies are incredible, obviously, but that speed mark software, I mean, James, maybe you can tell us a little bit about like what makes it so special, but it is something special.
Whenever my customers come to me, and we get a lot of really complicated applications with the speed marker, and people say, well, what can the software do? And I say, well, literally the software can do anything you expect a piece of software can do. Like if I have a customer whose speed marker sends away to a different country for a special code. The speed mark software is the controller for the robots and the injection molders and the packaging equipment. The speed marker can be operated headless without a keyboard or mouse. You just need to scan a barcode, and in behind the scenes, the software is going to figure out, it's going to rip into your ERP system, and it's going to, take all the data it needs and show you pictures of what you need to do. It literally can do anything as far as the software is concerned. And so this is why speed markers are being used highly in big, automated industrial plants, both, just the head, the OEM laser itself, or a head in the cabinet like you saw in those videos. And so this is why, for me, the speed marker is the ultimate tool for laser marking. What it's not being used for as much, and people haven't realized the speed and the efficiency of these things, is in like promo marking, like we see over here, and also in regular general engraving, trophy engraving, things like that. Sometimes right out of the gate they can seem cost prohibitive, but once you kind of have a day with it, like I bring a speed marker along with me in the van. If somebody needs to see a laser, we'll spend all day with that thing sitting in your own shop, and we'll say, hey, does this actually work for you? Yes or no. In a lot of cases, yes. In some cases, well, okay, it was a good try. But either way, it's they're my favorite machine as well.
I agree. I think they kind of get pigeonholed into this sort of I mean, you nailed it. Like they do certainly. I think they're conceived with sort of automation. Some of the stuff that you'll see here in the video, in mind. Particularly obviously part marking, serial number marking, that kind of thing. But the flexibility that the software gives you, in particular, sort of with the combination of, the speed marker comes in all different sizes and different sort of combinations and things, just like the Speedies do. It's a pretty versatile machine. I mean, we're going to get Tim to start marking some stuff here pretty soon, but I'd throw the same question over to Tim just because, again, he may not be as familiar with the speed mark software as you would be, James, obviously, from having spent so much time with it. Like, how is it learning the Speedies versus learning the speed markers, just as sort of a comparison between the two?
Right. Well, the Speedies have our new software, Ruby, which I'd say is a bit more user-friendly. It's definitely less intimidating than the speed marker software.
Absolutely.
Just because the speed marker software, as James mentioned, it's sort of intended for and comes with the intention of automation and serializing, which automatically in someone's mind goes, this is meant to be a professional standardized application. True. Which I agree with. But I've started using this, I'd say maybe roughly less than a month ago. And for me, the software is easily navigatable. You have quick shortcut buttons to be able to position, to be able to see everything, to be able to press the start button. It's 1 or 2 runs and you are familiar with the software. It does take some time, but it's definitely doable.
I agree. I think that's a good point that in the same way that, I don't know, it always struck me as like, maybe this will sound derogatory. I don't mean it this way, but like approaching Ruby is kind of like approaching MS Paint a little bit, where it seems very friendly and very inviting. But approaching the software for the speed marker is kind of like approaching Photoshop, where you can tell there's a lot more depth and a lot more power probably underneath the hood, but you've just got to figure out how to access it through this kind of web of tools and things. But what I love about tools like the speed marker is there's as much depth there as you want there to be. Do you know what I mean? That there's as much automation as you particularly need it to be. If you have a use for marking metal, and even sort of forthcoming in the future, I don't know if we've, it's obviously it's a release product that we have, but with the CL, marking even perhaps materials outside of metal, including all sorts of, different promo items, the speed at which the speed marker works is still, I think, one of the most impressive things. There's nobody at a trade show I've ever not been able to get to stop and kind of like double back on this machine, just because seeing it mark is such a cool, impressive thing.
The CL, the for people who don't know what those two letters mean, it's a CO2 version of this very same machine. You're looking at a fiber machine here, which is marking metal. We now have a speed mark driven CO2 Galvo that works the same way. So now we can get into glass, and we can get into wood, and we can get into plastics. And I can't wait to get my hands on one. I have not yet used it, but I'm really excited about it.
I'm genuinely so excited because this is a revamp of the previous CL, is my understanding. Like the previous CL had some pros and cons. I would say it was a first draft.
It was fantastic. The actual machine itself was good. You need to have your software plugged into it in order to make it useful. I have lots of people who have those machines and they're running really well with it. It's just that the software that we had for it just wasn't up to the same standard as this SpeedMark software. So no, they were always great machines. It's just now I can operate a CO2 laser the same way I can operate a SpeedMark, and I'm super happy.
Well, I want to keep talking about this, but maybe we'll jump into kind of the meat and potatoes here pretty soon. Oh, okay. So this is a cool video though. Lev, whenever we get to talk about the CL, this is one that, so this is a customer, I believe, who's in Ontario, if I'm not mistaken. I'll maybe get Lev to pop up the name here, but, there it is right there. Okay. Halifax, thank you. So he uses the SpeedMarker CL, which is exactly what you're seeing right here, to give him that speed of marking, but on all sorts of various wood and different things. One of the coolest, I would argue, being these beer glasses that he does, where he gets he marks the base of the beer glass, I believe, through the, I'll see if we can find the spot, but he's essentially marking the, I don't know what you'd call it, but the base of the glass kind of thing. And through there it is right there, exactly. And it's my understanding that through the, maybe Lev, I think, might know this better. Maybe I can get him on the mic. But basically, through the use of the CL laser and the marking of the base of the beer glass, it's able to keep the beer more, like give the beer more head, give it more foam on the beer. I don't know what the science would be potentially. Is that?
I suppose more surface area? I don't know.
Oh, the logo comes out on the foam. Okay.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay,
the bubbles
that's
would
cool.
form on the actual logo because the glass is now more perforated and cracked. So it would form more because of the surface area on the glass. So it'd come out of the foam on top. That is so neat.
Wow.
That's really neat. That also makes a hell of a lot more. Now it makes, I've been thinking about this for years, being like, how in the world would that possibly make it have more foam? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'm so glad. That is really cool. Really quickly, I want to keep talking about this, as I said, but I want to get into, Tim, do you want to give a really quick kind of rundown of, so you've got a Speed Marker 300 there in front of you.
I do.
Do you want to kind of run us through what you're marking and kind of what you've got? You've got like a whole assortment of stuff.
Yeah. So today we're going to be marking, we got a little bottle opener right here. Oh, let me get my screen up here.
In the meantime, guys, I'll say too, any questions, anything you want to throw at us, particularly if you're not familiar with the speed markers, if this might be your first time seeing them, whenever it is, throw them in the chat and we will we'll very happily try and jump on them as quick as we can.
All right, so we have our little dog tags over here. Got a little gold tag right there. We have a bottle opener and an anodized aluminum pen as well.
Cool.
Sweet. I love those stainless steel bottle openers. Those things are so cool.
Yeah, I've never seen one, but
we brought them in. Yeah, we brought in like a whole bag. It's like a really cool giveaway for these first trade shows, and they disappeared.
Oh, wow.
I highly recommend you guys, if you've got a speed marker, these are a really, really cool product to offer.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. At the imprint show, I was giving these away. Like everybody loved them.
Yep. Same for us.
Yeah. All right. So here we have our speed marker software. Once again, yeah, it looks a bit intimidating, I know, but believe me, very similar to Ruby and Job Control. Very easy to use after a couple of tries. You can see here I set up different colors, different effects, different process, different powers and speeds for every single color. Put cleaning passes on some of these. So just like Ruby and Job Control, you could do that within SpeedMark as well. Very, very simple to use. So within here, I was mentioning before that we have little shortcuts here and there. So F9, press that on our keyboard. Got a little pop-up from error code. Interesting.
Your red button at the, yeah, that's probably it.
Not seeing any red buttons. It's
so funny. We were just literally talking about this with Tim yesterday, where we don't encourage things to go like any less than perfect, but the reason that we don't pre-record any of these things is that we love, like, I don't mean to put you guys under pressure, but it's always so nice to see how someone like fixes it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it teaches you the way that I tried to think about, like, when Miguel would have things break and stuff on him in the Ragejet challenge, which happened like super frequently, I would always like try and think about like how he goes about his methodology for trying to fix it. Do you know what I mean? Same thing with anytime I'm hanging out with one of you guys, with Mike or James or Xavier or any of that, trying to think about how their thinking process is, you know, ruling out things that might be wrong versus that like troubleshooting approach. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, nothing goes wrong unless you're in a demo.
Of course. Let's see if we could maybe, I'll grab this question here too.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Tim's figuring that out.
Yeah. Talk about the U300 and the U50 for a comparison on usage differences. So, go ahead, James, please.
The U300 and U50, I mean, they're good. They're going to be they're sort of a model that one would buy when we're not needing all the gobbledygook of the automation and data control that the speed marker has. So if you're looking to mark products with a fiber, so you know, metal and plastics, that's going to be more of your choice. The speed marker has a massive program set that's going to really take off. It's expandable with your business, and so you use that when you maybe you start off just marking a few parts, but when you're marking tens of thousands of parts, that's the speed markers, the one that you're really going to need. Or if you're doing, there's some other things that the speed marker does that the U300 doesn't natively do.
Yes.
And that's the things like deep engraving. So if you want to go a 1/4 inch into a piece of steel and have it be perfectly smooth, well, not smooth, but like really, really deep and looks like it was like literally engraved, you're going to use the speed markers deep engrave setting for. There's a few things like that, the differences between, but the U300 and U50, if you're marking, so if you're if you're trying to replace your old Meistergram scratch engraving machine that's just doing all of your dog tags or your metal trophy plates, U300 is going to be fantastic for that. You don't need the data control. You don't need all this other stuff. It's got lots of features, the U300 and U50, perfect for somebody who's doing promotional materials, trophy shop, this kind of stuff. So, the marking looks great on both of them. U300 might have a little nicer engraving on maybe very, very small text, like stuff that industrial people are going to need that kind of sort of high resolution, machine readable stuff. But yeah, I mean, both products are fantastic, and they both have their use in the field.
Definitely. How's it look, Tim?
It's looking good. Just had to reboot the software.
Are you able to turn the light on the speed marker?
Oh, yep. It is on.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Oh,
there you go.
Shooting through the protective glass.
Yes.
Yeah.
All good. All good. That's my bad.
Yeah, we also have a bit of a sun glare coming in through here.
Yeah,
lucky. All right. Ken, it's showing up clearly, right?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Here,
okay.
I'm going to open the lid just for now, just so we can go through it again.
Sweet.
All right. So just like last time, yep. So we have the dog tag, bottle opener, a little golden tag, and our anodized aluminum pen over here. And in the software side, I already have my virtual jig laid out. Essentially, I made this jig in Illustrator. I brought it into the SpeedMark software, took out all the extra lines that I put in for the actual acrylic jig that I made here. So now I have everything placed in the software as it should be, in the place that it should be. With very little difficulty, I got everything set up here, put screws in the mounting point so my jig doesn't move. And now all I have to do is press F9 to see how it locates, and then F12 to start it, and well, it'll get done.
I'm almost ashamed of the fact that I didn't realize this before, but it had never occurred to me until Tim mentioned it to me yesterday to mount the jig to the mounting points. I don't know why I never thought of that, but of course.
The mounting points are amazing. We have lots of customers who they'll build a solid jig with an aluminum jig, like thick 1/2 inch aluminum jig with like a pocket in the middle, and then those mounting points, and it just drops in there. And now they can build plastic jigs that fit into that pocket for anything that they want. So like smaller jigs that fit into that pocket, and it speeds up lining up. So if you have 20 different products that you use, you'll have 20 different jigs. You can fit all sorts of stuff in that pocket, and then that way you don't need to make this giant jig every time. You make one giant jig and then 20 smaller acrylic jigs.
That's really cool.
If you have a speedy.
How tough was it to do the sort of setup of the file on the SpeedMark software? Like, if I'm familiar with Job Controller with Ruby, is it a pretty similar process of dragging and dropping things onto the table, onto the plate, or it's a little bit different?
More or less exactly the same. So over here, since I made my file in Illustrator, I saved it as PDF. And then on the left side here, we have all of our tools options. And the external file adapter, I brought in PDF. So I just pressed on my little PDF button over here. There's also BMP and DXF. So just launched in my PDF into there, put it in. I dropped it directly into the center just because I based everything off a center point in Illustrator as well. And that way I was able to have all my mounting points already assigned within Illustrator as well. So everything lined up perfectly right by the center.
That's pretty sweet.
Some people see those 3 buttons and think they can only bring in bitmaps, DXFs, and PDFs, but really DXF just means vector files. Bitmap means all bitmaps, so JPEGs, bitmaps, TIFFs, all these things, and then PDFs are literally just PDFs. But those 2 things, there's scores of different import functions in bitmap and DXF. It's just that they've named it that because those are common. But there's a lot of different imports you can do with that.
You could just literally have a vector button and a raster button essentially, and it would mean almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
Oh, not a problem. I know you mentioned mounting points. For mine, I actually use these 1/4" screws. Just found them in the back somewhere. Put them up. I measured the actual mounting holes themselves. They are all a 1/4". Able to get them all in there.
Sweet.
And my mounting points are up the very, very top. The 2 mounting points. You can always place them diagonally as well.
Where did you get the blueprint for it? Because I know some people are watching this from somewhere else and wants to build their own.
I believe the actual blueprint itself got asked Lev for that one. He was like, "Hey, bring
ask your local tech, everyone, for the blueprint."
Exactly. If you want that file, you just shoot us an email at youtube@troteclaser.ca or .com. I can never remember. Somebody's getting mad because they get a lot of emails that I send. Oh, thank you. That's James.
Don't call me. I won't get back to you for 3 days.
But we do have that file. It is a really cool file. Yeah, email Mike. Mike's a good. What I will say is just as a little reminder, anything you ever see on any of our streams or any of our YouTube videos, if you would like the file, and we still have it. Unfortunately, we're not always perfect about archiving some of that stuff, but we will do our best to track it down and send it to you. No problem.
No, 100%.
Cool.
All right.
So, should we let it rip? You were saying about pressing F9 for a positioning pass.
Yeah. So F9 will open up the positioning tab. So everything on this board that is an active marking or engraving, it'll be outlined by a border line. So unfortunately, due to the sun, we can't really see it too well in the camera here. I did some tests. I usually use a sticky note. If I can't see the actual border marking, I will use a sticky note to outline it. Nice. So maybe we'll get lucky. Might be able to see something. No, the sun is... Yeah, the sun is just...
Inevitably, every time we try to show this feature...
Yeah.
Maybe on the pen.
Tim's exactly right, though. It is really, really, particularly... the jig obviously takes some of the guesswork out of it for you, but no matter what sort of this machine, because it's doing part marking in a lot of cases, might have all sorts of things of different weird shapes and dimensions and stuff, right? So that feature is a pretty sweet one to have.
Oh, 100%. I think it's very, very useful because you can take everything here. One of my other favorite features is being able to line everything up. Let's say you don't have everything perfectly lined up in the jig. You could take one of these files individually, position them on the jig, and then press F10 to lock it in that position, and it will stay within there. So even if you didn't line up something perfectly in the jig, you could change that and fix it within the actual software.
Yeah, resize.
Wow. I didn't know that.
This software is great. It's really, really great.
It's my favorite production software for
I'm
sure.
Still learning new stuff. Dang, guys, go on.
Besides Ruby, of course.
Of course.
Well, for Ruby, I'm here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I have to ask Tim, particularly because I think he's only been to one. I think I know what James's answer will be, but I'll ask him first. There's something about using a speed marker at a trade show in particular. I think that's really there is sort of a wow factor to it. If you want to, I don't want to interrupt that. If you want to start it running, maybe I can bring up the. Is it ready to?
It's only
going
to take like 19 seconds there.
That's what I was gonna say. So maybe I'll bring it up as.
Yeah, we should just watch it full feature here.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna close off the lid. Hopefully everything is still coming through neatly.
Yep.
All right. And just like before, we're gonna press F9 to open up the menu, and then it'll give us the option to press F12, which will run the actual machine. So I'm gonna press F12 now, and don't blink. This thing moves quite quickly. Just see it working over there. The glare is just a bit in the way, but it's coming through.
No, it actually works good.
The fact that it's such a nice dark marking actually is such a super good contrast too, even with the sunlight. Like you can still see that one is always gets me.
I love the blueprint of the Galvo.
That's so cool. I think it was Lev did this once. One of the videos we have of a speed marker working on our YouTube channel, where he literally put at the base of the video, this film has not been sped up. Like it's marking at regular speed because it doesn't seem feasible. James, would you be able to explain to me what? So I know that the speed marker, in the way that the Galvo is set up, like the Galvo head is suspended above, and you're principally worried about the Z axis as opposed to like the X and Y where you would on a Speedy.
On this particular one.
On this particular one,
there are other.
The bigger ones.
The speed marker 700, 1300, 1350, and 1600 all have, optionally have X and Y axis too. So you're lifting your head up and down, but you're also moving the head side to side, so it can index to a new point, engrave, index to a new point, engrave, and then the bed can also move. So you're moving in all three axes, and then if you put a rotary on, now the rotary isn't like a rotary on a Speedy, it's a indexing stage. So you literally could put something square on it, engrave this side, and have the rotary flip it over and do this side. So if you need to do double-sided engraving, you can do it. It doesn't have to be a round thing like on a Speedy. You actually can move it. You could have the laser engrave this side, flip it up like this, have the head move up, engrave this little end. Say cheese.
I was going to say.
And
Thank
then
you, daughter, for lending us her phone.
I don't have a daughter. This is my phone. And then
I know.
And then engrave this side. And then flip up and engrave. So you can engrave different sides. So the rotary stage is like another axis.
That's really cool.
So there's many axes you can do, but on this particular laser, all you're doing is moving your Z axis and having the machine move the Z axis for you. So you're just telling it which moves the Z axis should do. So on that pen, you're moving up 4 millimeters. On the flat parts, you're maybe moving down a millimeter. And it's all about automation, because these things are the kings of automating things. Let the robots do the work for you. They're they don't complain when
Famous last words.
when it rains outside. Exactly.
Master. I will ask, could you explain to me how, so this is I don't know, perhaps a silly question, but I don't know if you guys can explain this to me. I understand. So the Speedy was always explained to me, if you look at it, let's say under a microscope, you would see the sort of bell curve wave of a Speedy laser, right? Coming out, and ideally, if you're in focus with a Speedy head, it would be right where the laser, the sort of bell curve of the laser shape is coming to its finest point, let's say, roughly.
The waist, yes.
That's a great, yeah, I shouldn't use this, but it's a bell curve. Oh, geez. But anytime I see the speed marker, the depiction of the laser is always more of like a pyramidal shape, right? So Tim has the laser head like suspended in the 300, and then it comes down. So how does the... I feel like I'm missing
where
something.
the laser can shoot.
Right.
So that's basically all its possible vectors. So if you imagine a light bulb suspended right here, it's shooting light in all these directions, but it's not doing it at the same time. It's a beam like you're seeing here, except you don't actually see the beam. But that pyramidal shape is basically that's its
potential marking
potential
area, yeah.
Yes, its potential marking area. So it's really important to keep a speed marker in focus, because if you're out of focus by a quarter inch, your piece that was 2 inches big now becomes 1 inch big if your lens is too low, and that's represented by that pyramid shape. So it's hard to explain without actually seeing it, but
I think I understand. Tim, did you want to keep marking the rest of the pieces in the jig?
Oh, I definitely can. Yeah.
Yeah. I love showing off how fast this thing is. James, with Would the CL be as fast as this is, even though it's a CO2?
I don't have any experience with it yet, but it's fast. I mean, the pulse. It's all about the pulse rate
Right.
of the laser. The actual motion system is going to be as fast as this. Yeah, it's probably going to have very close to the same head that this one has. Again, I have no experience with the new CL, so I don't know if the CO2 is going to be as fast. But
we're speculating. But
I'm imagining that the fiber laser is going to pulse faster than the CO2, since it's a solid state laser, as opposed to a CO2 being a gassed laser. So I can't say, because I've never used this CL, but it's going to be a lot faster than a Speedy at producing your marks.
yeah, believe me, when it comes in, you will see streams with the new CL.
I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. So Tim, so just seeing this pop up, I think I have a good idea. But if anybody's just joining the stream, in terms of just what you're setting up at the moment, would you be able to give us kind of like a aerial kind of view?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. So, well, right here I have all my settings open, and just gonna wait for this to pop down. So right here I have the working space of the Galvo, which is 120 by 120, and I have everything thrown in here. I have my jig set up within everything here as well in the working space of the Galvo. So just before that, I had my settings popped up. So I was just putting all the optimal settings for every other tag, which would be the pen, the gold tag, and the dog tag. I've also on the side here, I actually deactivated the run of the Galvo blueprint, just because we've already seen that running, and I want to be able to set up the dog tags and the other gold tag just fine.
Would you be able to sort of, so you were saying about the sort of, it's almost like a timeline, I guess, there on the left side. Would you be able to sort of explain to us like the way that workflow is?
Yep.
It's cool, I think.
Oh, 100%. So it is essentially a timeline. So over here, I have everything separated into different layers, which allows me to assign a different color to every single one of these little engraving processes. So within Illustrator, I made this file, I threw in everything on a separate layer so that when I throw it into SpeedMark, it will see everything as a separate layer as well. So the moment I throw it in, everything's already in this huge timeline, going through everything that it needs to go through. And the great thing about this is that I can click on here and I just press on the little red circle here, the little cross, and I can activate and deactivate a layer, which means the software will either skip it or go through with the marking. So since I've already done the marking on the bottle opener, I don't want to do it again. I could just deactivate it and go through with the other ones.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wait, so just to go back to what you were saying in the beginning, so you created this in Illustrator and you exported it as
Yes, a PDF.
A PDF, and it's still registered the separate layers in the PDF and the.
Yeah. I think there's a special option you might need a check mark within Illustrator. It's an option that allows a PDF to be still imported as an Illustrator file. So if someone that wants to edit this PDF could still open it within Illustrator.
Yeah.
So I have that option check marked just so that I can 100% use this just fine, have every layer separated, because it will recognize that I've already done that on my end.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm getting embarrassed. I don't want to keep admitting about the stuff that I didn't know about.
We're all here to learn.
Well, it's working.
Yeah.
Okay. I will, if you are ready to go, I will pop up the. Boop. Thanks, love.
I'm going to press F12, and there we go.
That's what I was going to say to Tim before, is like, having done a trade show with us now, I think I asked you this yesterday, but I am curious to ask you on camera, like, did you have people stopping you to do pen markings, like customization markings that maybe, it still blows me away how much people love just a simple customized object. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at the trade
Yeah, we're
show.
so used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've been doing this, 22, 23 years now. And like, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. My name on a pen, thanks. But like, I fail to see how cool that actually is.
cast your
some
mind back
respect,
to.
yeah, I can't wow, a name on a pen, oh my goodness, how does this happen? But yeah, I definitely, I'm so used to it now.
How many of those bottle openers do you think that you did with just like, Bob, Doug, Jim, Stan, Heather, like?
Yeah.
Man,
Just faceless names.
I think I'd say maybe around like 9 or 10 people for sure. We brought them in, and we were just, I was like, hey, you want to see something cool? Watch this, don't blink.
Yeah.
Go through it. Everyone's surprised by the speed of how quickly this thing's going by. The speed is what really impresses everybody.
Yeah,
100%.
That's what really gets everybody. It's how fast this thing moves.
It's what calls people to look at these machines and bring them into their shops too.
Yeah.
Where these are going to shine are, folks who want to produce on the spot engraving. Like, one really great application is if you have a busy shop inside of a tourist center. Or if you know somebody who has a tourist center, and you have like 25, 30 products that you're going to put somebody's name on. And let's say this is where a cruise ship comes in, right? They say Vancouver, Canada, and you have 500 people walking by. They see this happening and like, oh my goodness, we have to have one of these. And so instead of saying, okay, we'll get it for you in 3 days, they literally pay for it by tapping their Visa, and you put it in there, type the name, hit nyap, and give it to them, and it's seconds later. And the fun is in watching this thing go. Like, as far as promotional items and sort of tourism items go, that could be a very nice application for this machine. And probably with that one, I would probably suggest the U300 for that kind of a thing. But if you're looking at mass producing products, we're talking like big industrial shops, or you're a promotional products company, then you would want like a larger speed marker that has an actual indexing head that's going to go from part to part to part, zapping things in, pulling data from your ERP system, and making 30 bottle openers in 4 minutes or something. Like, so there's different uses for different machines.
I do think in terms of, so if you're somebody that has a promo company or a company that does sort of a general engraving type of application, and you're looking at adding like a fiber laser to what you do to be able to do even things like Yeti bottles, all manner of different sort of, as you said, like sort of smaller promo items. I think the U300 is a great option as opposed to looking at, let's say, like adding a fiber tube to your current speedy machine. One of the smaller speed markers is far more sort of, or can be more budget friendly depending on the volumes that you do, and yet will give you that same flexibility, the same kind of speed. You know what it made me think of, James, is like, I don't know if you guys are, when you were younger, do you remember those, you'd go to like a theme park or something and you'd see those machines that would crush a penny into like a flat disc with the design, where you're literally like, you're not only like, you're losing money literally to make this item, and yet just because of the novelty of
coolness
seeing
of
it work,
yeah.
Exactly, right? Like there's something to be said for just the way that it's created, not just for the cool item that you get to take home, which you also get obviously here, but we had a couple of our colleagues visit us from the Austrian, like from our headquarters into our Mississauga office in January, I believe, and they're telling us about how at Legoland in Munich, I think, you can buy like a lunch box that looks like a giant Lego brick, of course, but then you can also use a speedy laser there to put your name on it, and if you get it personalized, it like doubles or triples the price, right? And all they've done is just like put your name on it, but there's just something special about that, and I don't have to tell that to any promo or general engraver. I mean, they understand, but it's not to be underestimated, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
What sort of customers, I would ask you, James, so Lev threw a question here in the back, and I think it's a good question. So like, what sort of customers would you have that might use a speed marker? Like, is it principally in the sort of promo items, or is it in the industrial, or?
Industrial right now, because it hasn't been marketed to the general engraver as a viable option. and it's not that it isn't. It totally is. Just the smart engravers have done their own research and come up with this, or they've come to my shop and they've had a demo with me on a Speedy, and then they look over at that thing and they say, well, what's that?
Yeah.
And we do the demo, and they go, oh my goodness, that's the thing I need to have. But primarily I'm getting calls from industrial people who need to do their products, and it's not just industrial, but manufacturing is huge. So let's say you're making, some sort of computerized thing, and so you have a whole line of people putting their components onto this computerized thing as it goes down the line. In the final QA stage, where they're checking it over, they're doing their tests, they put it in the machine, they scan the barcode that comes with the part as it goes along the line, and suddenly it hits it in 15 different places with UL marks or serial numbers, logos, information of all kinds, barcodes, and then it goes into the box and ready for sell. So that's the regular way we're using these machines, is that they're very data heavy, but the people who are regular engravers are now starting to come around and say, oh, speed marker equals speed equals more profit. So
It's true.
Yeah.
I am curious, like, Tim, in your first couple of months, you said you only started kind of using or getting to use this machine sort of in the last month or so.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what has been sort of your experience with it? Is it principally sort of as like a metal marker? Have you gotten to experiment at all with its plastic capabilities at all? I never have, so I'm deferring to you.
I've also only been playing around with metal, because on the Speedies, that's what I've been doing, mostly plastics. We got Lamicois and acrylics, woods. But the moment I heard metal, I've only been bringing metal to this. So I've been experimenting with different processes. So marking, more of the engraving, annealing. I just got into annealing, discovered how amazing that looks on stainless steel. So that's been a ton of fun. But none of the plastics just yet. But hopefully we'll get to it soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plastics are huge.
I was going to say, I am going to have to come back to, that's going to be another good learning stream for me, where I come back to you guys and we have to do a stream about plastics on the speed marker, because I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, I'm really glad though that you've gotten a chance to kind of mess around with the speed mark software, because I really do think, particularly for somebody who has like a background in design, I think it can be intimidating, right? But it's really nice to hear you say it's once you kind of get the swing of it, you seem pretty cool with it, to be honest.
Yeah. It's just like any other software. It's any software is very tough to use at first, but there's always a learning curve. But the more you get to it, the more you get used to it. What really helps is having your own idea in mind for what you want to do, and then at that point, nothing will stop you from doing what you want to do. If you have a set idea and you want to accomplish that, you will learn to use software in the way that you need it to. So it's just about getting out there and actually doing it yourself. I wanted to learn how to do annealing. So with no knowledge prior of how to do annealing, I sat back and spent an hour or so just figuring it out, and eventually we got it. So
that's cool. Another one that I've never messed around with. You were pitching me actually on a project yesterday about doing you have a pen that's basically entirely made of steel.
Yeah, full stainless steel pen. Yeah.
Nice.
To be able to anneal it will be really, really cool.
Oh, it'd be so nice. Yeah.
I'm trying to get back to that place where I can remember what it was like to have a pen with my name on it and get really jazzed about it. Oh man, we get so spoiled. Okay, I am going to ask, let me quickly do a scan through here to see if I have any more questions that came from the chat. But I am going to ask, do we want to do one more full top to bottom run of the jig stuff here in the speed marker?
One question actually before you did that.
Yeah.
I had a question from yesterday. Somebody says, "Hey, I noticed you're in the live stream. Can you talk about pricing on the Galvos? Not pricing of the lasers, I think, but more costing on it." And of course, you know me. I never say what you should charge, because that's just, it doesn't make sense from market to market. But if you have a Speedy right now and you're getting what you get for that, you gotta throw that out the window. Let's say you're you're charging $100 an hour or $150 an hour for your speedy work, you can't just say I'm doing $100 an hour, because if you know how many pens you could output in an hour with this thing, you'd be like, okay, well that's insane. We got to charge more. We're charging like 1 cent per pen for the engraving.
Yes.
So hey, there's Ed. Hi, Ed. You have to you almost have to with the SpeedMark software and the speed marker, you almost have to do it, line by line. Say, well, okay, what do I need to charge for this? This is how long it takes. This is how many I'm going to do. You're doing it per part. You can't just do a per hour thing on these, because they're just so fast. I mean, to do this plate that he's doing here would take probably 5 or 6 minutes on a regular XY machine. Doing it in 29 seconds, you can't charge per hour on that. You have to basically charge what it's worth to the customer.
Well, and I think you've sort of talked about this a little bit before, but because it's a bit special, you can, I think, don't underestimate the value of novelty a little bit. That you can sort of explain to your customer that it's a different machine, it's a special machine, so it's a special kind of marking. It's not going to be calculated in the same way that you would with the CO2 laser. It's going to be something that's a little bit unique and a little bit, special, a little bit precious. Not to mention the fact, I think that, when they see it work, it's pretty easy to, as you said, that, if you're marking for a solid hour on the speed marker, you're going to have either something's gone wrong or you're going to have a whole lot of product at the end of it, kind of thing, right? So
yeah.
Unless the volumes are there for you, James is exactly right. It doesn't really make sense, but you've seen Tim run this. I mean, that entire jig that you did there, Tim, I mean, that probably took less than, I feel like, 90 seconds to
cut out the jig,
or to do like the marking from top to bottom. Even on all 4 objects, it's only,
I'd say less than 60.
Yeah, less. Yeah, it was, I think, running maybe at 20 seconds or so. I could actually check right here how quickly it's going. 16 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and to highlight just how quickly these machines work, the time that you get is not written in seconds; it's written in milliseconds.
Yeah,
it accounts for the factor of milliseconds. Yeah, it's
Oh my god.
On the speedies on Ruby job control, it will say in seconds and minutes. Here, it's milliseconds and seconds.
Quite often, when you're marking small objects, you're like, oh, well, we have to get it under. And some customers are like that. We'd like to get each part under about 0.6 of a second. And so we're always talking about sub-second intervals for their marking, and so we go in there trying to mark them just right under a second, and it's very doable with this.
So I got another good question from Lev here. I wanted to throw at you guys. If you are kind of more of a traditional speedy customer, and James, I know that you have probably sold more speed markers than almost anyone else in Canada. I feel like you are sort of, I mean, as far as it goes in terms of speed marker knowledge, you're always the person that I come to.
Yeah, it's because I love it.
What would be the circumstances under which, so I was talking about this a little bit earlier, but where you might want to add a speed marker to what you already do, what would be the benefits potentially for somebody at looking at adding a speed marker when they already have a more traditional kind of CO2 or XY machine? What would be the circumstances under which you would say, a speed marker might be a good fit for you guys?
Well, when you need to pivot on your data, like as I said, like with like automation and data acquisition. So as I said, with the manufacturers, they need timestamps on things, and those timestamps are exact. So a speedy, you have to pre-program it, not program it, but you basically have to make the image and then send it over to the machine, whereas this machine is making the data as you go. So, or if you need to doing serialization, it's on the fly. It's pulling from either an ERP system or it does the serialization itself. So serial numbers and that kind of thing, done. Also, if you need immediate results from your machine, so as I said, if you're somebody in a high visibility traffic area who's selling gift items, and you want to sell to, these people for the wow factor, that's another thing. You're watching it happen, and you're doing it in real time, very, very quickly. Also, if you're doing deep engraving, so if you need to do deep engraving in metal, especially in the jewelry sector, I have many jewelers here in Vancouver who are using these machines for making pendants or engraving the insides of rings, outsides of rings, of course, as well. But like creating jewelry, actually, I'm not going to say they cut the silver sheets and the gold sheets less than a millimeter thick, but you can do deep engraving on these parts, and they're there's no other way to do it. There really isn't. I mean, you trying to use a CNC for that same thing is nearly impossible.
I have to ask, so why, but why? Sorry. As someone who, so I'm coming to understand, I was very fortunate to get to talk to a lot of CNC owners at our trade show last week and get to, converse with them about why a CNC and a laser kind of form a good pair, like why they complement each other. What is it about a speed marker that a CNC couldn't match? Because I understand, I think, with the CO2 laser, but what, where would be the things that is it principally in that sort of like metal, that deep metal engraving
setup mostly? There are CNC machines that will do this kind of fine engraving with a really, really fine tip. You gotta be a veteran to be able to get that kind of detail in this stuff. You can't, after a couple of weeks, you're not able to. You wouldn't be able to do that with a CNC. Also, let's say somebody comes in with a Rolex, and they want to put on the back of the Rolex, thank you for your service or whatever. You would
say if they were a salesman in BC who could use a Rolex for Christmas, say, just as like an example. Attaboy. You can put that watch underneath there, turn the vision camera on, see the watch in real time, zoom in, place the text on the watch exactly how it needs to be, and you don't even think twice about hitting go. Whereas if I clamp that into my diamond drag engraver, and I had it, I had the red dot on the middle and I centered it, you go, well, I think it's okay. And then I go, I got to do one more dry run. Just to
one
make
more
sure.
dry run.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Hopefully the offsets are okay. And then hopefully the clamp doesn't give way when the pressure of the diamond hits the stainless steel at the back of the watch. Honestly, the layout on these things is fast, easy, accurate, and it takes all that stress away. Like look at that thing do the inside of the ring. So cool.
I don't want to know what the sound of a diamond bit going into the back of a Rolex sounds like.
I never want that either. Or a cross pen or something, right?
Oh.
Like here we have a $300. I don't know how much a cross pen's worth, but a $300 pen, and you're trying to engrave it with a diamond or a burnisher, and God bless the people who do. But man,
heroes.
It's so much easier. So much easier using this.
I have to ask Tim. So. A little bit of like background, like deep Tim lore. So you went to school for like industrial design, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Would you have gotten to use CNC machines or lasers like in school?
Yeah.
And then,
my school. So I went not too far from here. I went to Humber College. They actually have a Speedy 300 there.
Good choice.
So I was able to use it my first year, my third year, in my fourth year. I got to use a CNC machine. It was very, very particular purpose though, but mostly a lot of laser cutting done there.
I also went to Humber. I was there pre-Speedy, so you were you were in the right era.
Yep.
Was it? But we're talking just the Speedy, yeah, not the Galvo. You were saying the Speedy 300.
Oh no, yeah, it was just Speedy 300.
That's really cool. So coming to work at Trotec, this is your first exposure to the Galvo lasers in general.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put you guys on the spot then. Can you very quickly, because we're coming to the top of the hour, but if anybody is looking for like a quick rundown, last minute, we're in the conclusion paragraph of the essay. You know what I mean? if you could tell me sort of what what encompasses a Galvo laser sort of in a nutshell, and then why somebody might be looking at one, whether it's a promo items or what would be our pitch for somebody coming into to Trotec for one of our speed marker or Galvo lasers. I'll throw it up to both of you guys. This can be a collaborative effort. This can be an open book test. I'm fine.
Being able to do parts deeply, darkly, and very, very quickly. That's the simple sentence.
Yeah. And quickly, I mean, yeah, like you said, sorry, it's like watching a lava lamp. I don't know what it is about watching this thing work, but it's just hypnotizing.
It's like, that's why they have the laser light shows at all the planetariums.
It's true.
The same technology, boys and girls.
I think we will probably call it for today, you guys. I think we're coming close to the top of the hour. I saw also, forgive me to the chat. Thank goodness we got Lev here helping us out. I missed some of the great comments, but I wanted to say thank you again to Amy for stopping by, to Doug, and to everyone. I mean, LaserTech, of course, everybody who's dropping us these great comments and questions in the chat. We're very glad to be back this week, and thank you for the kind emails and stuff, checking in on us while we were away. That was really, really cool. If you guys would like to see more Galvo, it's Mel. Hardly ever get to see Mel in videos. Bye, Mel. If you guys would like to see more Galvo content going forward, we wanted to try and feature it a little bit more. I think it's one of these really cool things that we want to we wanted to share the spotlight with the Speedies. The Speedies are really cool. Ruby's really cool, and the Galvos are really cool. I really want to turn Tim loose also. Again, deep Tim lore. My understanding is that he knows like 3D software decently well. Is that a fair? Okay.
Very well. Yeah.
We have wanted to do like big, and James, you actually have been sort of the other person we've tapped for this. We've wanted to do large format like 3D stuff on streams, going back for
yes, please.
Like
I already have set up such a cool Rhino video for building
furniture, right?
Building furniture. Sort of bespoke furniture based on your size comparison. So I'd love to showcase that on the SP2000 one day. Maybe I'll fly 100%. Out to Toronto to do it.
We'd be happy to have you.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing too is that like with you guys knowing Rhino, and I assume, is it SolidWorks that you are more familiar with, Tim? Or
I mostly use SolidWorks and Alias.
Cool. Okay.
Nice.
This is the thing. I would love to be able to feature some of those things as well. If you guys would like to see some 3D, I mean, you throw it out there. If you guys want to see more CAD stuff, if you want to see more CAM stuff, if you want to see more Speedies, you just let us know. We're here to try and put up whatever content you like. You have very, very talented guys, and James and Tim and Miguel, everybody else around the globe, Lev, of course. So we want to put on these streams to give you a chance to interact with these guys. And here's 1 hour a week where you can ask James and Tim and again the whole team questions about whatever.
Anything.
And I'm just here. Exactly. I'm here to facilitate it.
If it's got a laser at the end of it, I'll answer a question about it.
Sharks, laser beams.
Sure. I know a little bit about sharks too.
Again, a huge thank you to everybody who dropped by in the chat. Again, obviously a big thank you to Tim and James for joining me. We will see you guys again next week on Friday. I believe we've got our first Ragejet challenge in a little while coming back to the stream pretty soon. I'm not sure
like
it's going to be next week or 2
challenges.
weeks. This is going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
I'm jealous. I like the Ragejet challenge. I've watched every one of those, and I wish I was doing a Ragejet challenge.
Listen, you're more.
No, I don't. I'm not saying I'm going to. I love the idea that somebody gives me 1 hour to build something amazing on a Ragejet. That's like so cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and this might be the first time I think we ever get Tim under the 1 hour time limit.
That's
so
sweet.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I hope you guys will join us for that. We have a few other things in the hopper, but again, most important to us is that we hear your feedback. So shoot us an email, leave us a comment under the video, whatever works best for you guys, and we will do our best to answer all your questions. We hope to see you again next week. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.